emerging from a cocoon into a caterpillar, from a caterpillar to a butterfly. The metamorphosis is here, it's live. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis, word, sound and power, music, drumming, current affairs, everything to grow and lift up your mind. Metamorphosis.
No more youths and youths for sale. We get wise and don't decide to change their style. Bobby wrong, keep your empty promises and your crooked smile. Metamorphosis, come with your thoughts, change your way of thinking. Metamorphosis, the change begins with you.
Black men apartheid, black men of Ethiopia, Timbuktu, Alexandria gave the light of civilization to this world. Ethiopia shall stretch forth our hands unto God, and princes shall come out of it.
Guide I, it's the voice that sets me free. Guide I.
Good evening, Iman Blak.
Good evening.
This is Pauline from St. Mary. Calling to big you up on your program. I am a disciple. I've been there since almost the inception.
Guide I, it's the voice that sets me free.
I just you may have to tune into because, I always even watch some of the television and stuff, and that I have to see for later. I have to really listen to you first, you know what I mean?
How ma one one machikum bakhna Africa da fa bakhna kida fanya kida farafet one machiki bunjul kida fa bunjul one yande kesawai kida fa bunjul one machiki bunjul kida fa bunjul dafnen rafet yom wentamenda ingama dafnen rafet yom wentamenda ingara dafnen rafet yom wentamenda ingara. Did you know that's a richer Africa? Did you know that's a richer Africa? Did you know? Said the whole world love it. Did you know? Said the whole world love it. Be proud of your culture. Be proud of that what you got. Be proud.
Jambo, vipi, karibuni katika kipindi cha Doc Iman Blak. Kipindi chaitwa Metamorphosis. Jifundishe, elimika na muelimika.
Fire outrage, burn down Babylon and all them crooked ways and racial discrimination, discommunication, brutalization. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Rastafari, sit upon his throne now. Rastafari, sit upon his throne, yeah. Rastafari, sit upon his throne now, telling us to come home.
The ancient of days never quail. Rastafari love prevail. Hey, you want to say? And do remember the prophecy and history called the days of slavery. We were even taken away captives on boats called Jesus. Yeah, man. Remember, some jump off and try to swim to eat you up here. Some were even in by socks. Who they kill away and thrown overboard, you know. Some of us they drop in the Alaspan in St. Thomas. You smell so them so determined? Because the fire keeps burning on. Babylon, they know it's you get your food to eat and yet you find it hard to feed another youth that come up at your feet. They know is it you always a strive and yet you find it hard to show another get so you tough to survive. That's why your King Selassie I reprise. Run the tell Pharaoh, him city they go bless. Me know a king or a suffer right up on the throne. Babylon, we the dash brimstone. The one your name can't cool, can't quench. Everlasting burning fire. Babylon your range out. Can't cool, can't quench. Africa my true heart desire. Black parents can't cool, can't quench. Everlasting burning fire. Babylon your range out. Can't cool, can't quench. Africa my true heart desire. Red judgment. Bigger to you some put them in a deep pit. Them judge and them jury just green and a grit and all them police and them soldiers said them ready and fit. The sniper the black say him not suit and miss the black rights kingdom. Stand for equal rights and justice. A true human rights. Well a government none miss. Rastafari did no say PJ or the false on hypocrite and them a go bring Bruce Golding fi make a big devil switch. Well Rasta drop Siaga in the bottomless pit. Now follow the evil mama gun you spank you real quick. Well that's another fire. Pans and public me telling them cease from no war and wickedness. In a fornication in them gun finger them go deep. And not chat about them a vote all that wine them a sit me say red, gold and green in every district. And Ethiopia be the witness this a one your name. Can't cool, can't quench. Everlasting burning fire. Babylon your rent can't cool.
Away from Africa with the intention to steal our culture. That's good for the past by instead. Humble yourself, my children. Humble yourself, my little ones. Humble yourself. Oh, my brother,
Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis. October in Jamaica. Heroes Month, Heritage Month. Where do the ancestors dwell? Where do the ancestors dwell?
where is your love, Jamaica?
In this Heroes Month,
Where is your love, Jamaica?
African heritage, Jamaican culture, clarity, metamorphosis. Where do the ancestors dwell? Mortality versus immortality. Is there a land of the ancestors? Then I still in, giving thanks and praises for first and foremost being in reasonably good health, reasonably within the context of the struggle. And hailing all ones and ones listening to StylzFM, whether you're on land or you're out in cyberspace. Greetings, Dr. Iman Blak here, your host. Another month to endure and another month to conquer as we move through the calendar year. It's just ready. They were talking about Easter. And now we're moving into the Christmas. And they're preparing again to extract our resources to maintain those little white piggy banks. Earlier, October, in Jamaica land, we celebrate heritage and we celebrate our heroes and shiro. They give us February to celebrate Black history. And then in October, we celebrate our heritage. It makes you wonder if there's a difference between our Black history and our heritage. Is there a significant difference between our heroes and sheroes and the history month that is considered the month of African history? So we're here on this divided island, well split up, but we try to pull the pieces together and to remember, put the members together again, remember, so the body can be consolidated into a consciousness that makes each individual come to be aware of the power that dwells within them. Because there is power within each individual. From inception, from the connection, and the I comes into being, there is power. How to come to consciousness and bring that power to bear in reality is a whole different set of activities and events. But I proceeding. How do we disentangle from 2,000 years of entanglement? Quite a task, but it is not insurmountable if we apply ourselves daily and nightly to the task of liberating our own consciousness. Because consciousness is the ultimate power. Consciousness rises above spirituality, and consciousness deals with the cosmics. Consciousness is no different from cosmic energy. And that's why so much effort is put out to make black people remain unconscious. Because consciousness is a force that gives us the power to do. Well, I really want to speak to some immediate events. And it's a philosophical perspective that is required. When I was in my 20s, almost everybody I did know was in them 20s too. Yeah, like, you know, you're 21, so you know everybody between 16 and 25, and that looks like the whole world, everybody in that age group. And then that group suddenly one day realize that all of the people them know are in their 50s and 60s, and some even 70s. And that there's a new set of people now who are seeing themselves in the 20s, so you realize something changed. There has been a movement in time and activities. And ultimately, there comes a point now when the further you go along the line is the closer you come to the consciousness of your mortality. That's how I want to put it. In other words, in simple language, the longer you live, is the more you see more people dead. And the more people is dead, is the more you realize your death is also imminent. So that's what I mean when I say you become conscious of your mortality. And I think it's a period where a lot of people get into a kind of disarray within their own being. Fears and doubts and all sort of, uncertainties may tend to rise as one moves in this journey. But I want to take it to the end now, because when the person and the body finally expire, meaning it can't breathe anymore, it has breathed its last breath, and it expire. And then all the heat is removed, and the experience is what them call rigor mortis. The body gets stiff and cold. So we know we are saying to ourselves and those looking on, say the body is dead. But we are left with a body that needs to be disposed of, because it cannot be just left into open spaces to rot and decompose and such forth. So there must be some form of ways that are organized by cultures and societies and groups and whatever the size of the gathering, that they eventually develop what they call rituals to dispose of the body in what is considered to be a humane way at times, or what is called a dignified way. But I want to go beyond that disposal. And I'm wondering to all the ones who like to visit these funerals and these graveyards and these diggings, you think that when people go to these funerals and they look into the coffin and they see these bodies, you think them visualize and imagine themselves in there one day? May I put it to my engineer? Because you don't think every time them look in the coffin, them not only see the dead body, but them maybe if you imagine that one day they might be there with people looking at them? I'm saying, all right, so it's possible. Yeah, man, consider somebody can go on through that reason. So I am saying, no, we come to a point in our being wherein we have to face what I call our mortality. In other words, no, the point wherein there is possibly extinction, wherein we don't exist anymore. And there seems to be a great panic, because our education system now, coming from Sunday school onwards, tells us that we have a part of ourself, our being, that can't die. Yeah, them say we have a part of ourselves that is indestructible. Another word for that would be immortal. But yet now we have to face our mortality. So what really happens? What is a great event now when we have to face that mortality and realize that this, the body, is now expired? What about this thing now that them talk about that can't die? Wait there. Where and in what dimension does this thing exist? So I'm asking that first and foremost, and maybe many people have asked that from the time they're born. In other words, the basic question, what happened to you when you're dead? And I'm saying we have to think it through now rather than become emotional, and think it through scientifically, and realize that all that is composed will decompose. And the being that we call man is a composition of egg and sperm. So there comes a point in time when there's decomposition. So where does this other thing come from now that we say get left behind? And then there are those now who speak about the ancestors. And I just want to open the reasoning now to examine what does it mean when we say the ancestors? Is it everybody who dies becomes an ancestor? How long after death before you become an ancestor? Is it somewhere something goes? Is it only one group of people become ancestors? Do the criminals become ancestors? Do the people who fight for human rights and black civil are those here? So where is this dwelling place for ancestors? Because you see, if it's not real, we have to wake up out of that one to know, you know. We have to begin to reconfigure and redefine what really do we mean by ancestral forces. Because there are forces in the cosmos. Magnetic, electrical, solar, psychic. There are kind of forces. What do we mean as black people when we talk about ancestral forces? It's another kind of heaven place where bodies pile up, spirits pile up on them, sit and have counsel. I want to work this through, because the reality is that death is not an illusion. In other words, it's an illusion to the point that you may think that something inside of you doesn't die, but the physical does decompose and disintegrate. So this thing that themselves will get, that is left, what is it? What is this soul, our spirit, our dopey, our mind, our what is it that is we claim, leave over, that we spend so much of our life making sure it falls within a certain context of behavior. May I open that up, because me have my serious concerns about this place that we have lodged our dead in our memory. How many people are holding up there? And should we just wake up and stop being into this stupor that there's a land where some part of us go? Is it within the Earth atmosphere? Is it beyond the space station 200 miles above? Where is this place? Is it real? Is it imaginary? And if it is real, where does it exist? And how do we tap into those forces within this time? So, some of them things that we want to look into. Also, I want to touch on a little sporting reasoning as it relates to our track hero, Usain Bolt, getting his second chance now in Australia and waking up to the reality of what professional football is, separate from professional athletics. And the whole difference in making that transition. And is it really, really possible at age 32? So we're still looking at that. And the world keeps on turning. Metamorphosis. Stay tuned.
Journey, I say. Right over there, right over there. Ice cream and gold, it's the rainbow. Ice cream and gold, it's the rainbow. Ice cream and gold, it's the rainbow. Ice cream and gold, it's the rainbow.
Yeah, the metamorphosis is here, and in the metamorphosis we moved the thought processes, and we want to move from just trying to transform the psychological slave state to that state of self-mastery. We also want to begin to utilize the metaphysics. Yeah, we want to move beyond form and get into the beyond the physics. And beyond the physics now I am calling the psychic. the metaphysics becomes psychic. And I was going around the spiritual talk because the whole confusion when we introduce this term spirit and spiritual. But we are all endowed with a psyche. And the psyche is a reflection of the power of the I, which is the center of consciousness within each individual. Now, as I said earlier, in this month here, the island of Jamrock celebrates things that are cultural and historical, and they call it heritage. But I really want to speak a little bit to the concept of even heroes. How do we generate heroes, and who defines who a hero is? And who defines who is a heroine? And as we know, Jamaica today now, there's this debate as to whether Louise Bennett Cloverley should become a national heroine, or whether Bob Marley should be called a national hero. And the politicians throw these things around the people, without the people really having a chance to deeply examine what are the characteristics that define a hero within the context of the society. Because Paul Bogle was not a hero to the British. Paul Bogle was a villain. So his perspectives again helps us to define how we view things within the whole cosmos. So within the Jamaican framework of heroes and heroine, we have one female, and we have, there's 9 of them, we have about 8 men, or 7 of them, we have 6 men, one female. The female, of course, her reputation comes from her cunning and her skill, her courage, and her determination not to be conquered by the Christian British. Coming out of the culture of being an African from the western section of the continent. They say that she was a Moor, that fundamentally the Moors were not Christians. So the struggle that Nanny and her colleagues and brethren raged against the British was also a religious political struggle. It was Islam versus Christianity, and Christianity had to retreat. And so this contest between these religions have been going on from the days of what they call the Crusades. It manifests in Jamaica, and Nanny was declared a victory until the British used paperworks and their regular ways of deception and slyness, and eventually conquered the island and separated the people. So Nanny now is classified as a heroine, and she had magical powers, basically psychic and cosmic forces that she was able to manipulate. So, as a heroine, as a hero, we are sort of instructed to have respect for the characteristics of our heroes. Yes, and perhaps even try to adapt their abilities and their styles of living, because if that's what made them national heroes, then it should be what each each citizen should want to emulate. So we have this African woman who, to date, nobody really knows what she looked like, but then put a little image of what they imagined her to look like on the $500 bill. And then when we recognize that piece of artwork, then we learn later that Paul Bogle was also not a real piece of artwork. That is somebody who them sketch. Virgin named Jennings, who coming out of the United States. And so we realize that we don't even have the correct images of the people who are claimed to be heroes in Jamaica. But these are the political heroes who deal with the struggle at the ground level and deal with the system. There are heroes that we are given before we even know we name. And these heroes are our religious heroes, the Bible heroes, the men of God. Those become our foundation set of heroes. So that's why, to an extent, we have more respect and adulation for the biblical heroes than we have for the heroes in our real life. So we have to begin to look at the perspective now. Who is it that gives us these heroes, and what is the perspective, and why should we celebrate these heroes? So, female and male, we find that this one female and a set of males within the political hero framework. Within the religious now, there are hardly any women, if any at all. I can't think of any. The women in the religious world are more demonized and classified as villains. Again, it's perspective. And whose perspective do we embrace when we talk about celebration? So, Jamaica Island, a colony, and the heroes that we have been given were all, not all, the first 4 or 5 heroes were engaged in a struggle that race was vital. Nani was involved in a struggle where race was primary. Bogle, Sam Sharp. So the heroes that we should really be emulating are the heroes in the racial struggle. Harriet Tubman in North America, and the various black heroes and heroines whose effort was to upgrade the race. The later on political heroes of Jamaica were not interested in the race. They were more geared towards helping the class that they were part of and to hold the system as it was. So I am saying all of this now is that all of these heroes from that time till now, just along the political lines, they have all died. And we say that they have all gone to join the ancestors. I am still now wondering where is this location that these ancestors now find themselves piled up? And how effective are they in this place? And what benefit do we have holding on to this idea? Does it assist us in changing the present? Or does it give us comfort that we have a soul that can be saved? And so we expend a lot of resources when the body is expired. Who is that benefits? Does that benefit the carcass that is lying? Or is it some kind of psychological gratification and something that the living need to remind themselves that they too can die? I think it's a very interesting and complex situation. The Christians have their own version that there's a heaven and there's a hell, and that the souls will go either or either. What is it about the ancestors? What about those who don't make it into the ancestor land, or is it everybody? There's a phrase that says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and to suffer the loss of his own soul? And a lot of us hear that over and over and unconsciously reject the idea of controlling the world because we are putting greater precedence and saving our soul. We need to get control of the world. No. Metamorphosis.
It is not good to travel today, neither across the ocean. Deserts so dry, water thirst kill you. Too good to travel today, neither to cross the ocean. Deserts so dry, water thirst kill you. Kill you, kill you, kill you. Kill you, kill you. When it wet, it slippery. When it down, it cramp your belly. Don't want to see you on the ground. Don't want to see you on the ground. The ground, the ground, the ground. Who no black so blind, oh, so blind. Two more things for I to tell you right now. Two more things for I to tell you right now. Two more. My old great grandmother, great grandmother, mother. She's black, so black, yeah.
Winston Rodney, so black. Who no black, can black again. We long come.
It is not good to travel today, neither across the ocean. Deserts are dry, water thirsty you. Too good to travel today, neither to cross the ocean. Deserts so dry, water thirst kill you, kill you, kill you, kill you, kill you, kill you. When it wet, it slippery. When it down, it cramp your belly. Don't want to see you on the ground. Don't want to see you on the ground. The ground, the ground, the ground. Caution, my brother, caution, take it. Black soul, you black as jet. So black, so black, so black, so black, so black. I'm proud and black. I'm proud and black. I'm rejoicing and black. Who no black, now go black again. Who no black, now go black again. So black. My skin is black.
Jambo, vipi, karibuni katika kipindi cha Doc. Iman Blak, kipindi chaitwa Metamorphosis. Jifundishe, elimika na mwelimika.
Two more things for I to tell you right now. Two more things for I to tell you right now. Two more. My old great grandmother, great grandmother, mother. She's black, so black, yeah, she's black. My old great grandfather, great.
Way before even Adam. Way before even Adam. We were black.
So blind. So just good to travel today. Neither to cross the ocean. Desert so dry, water thirst kill you.
Winston Rodney. No, this man could also be put up in contention for a national hero in Jamaica too. Yeah, but it depends on the perspective all the while. Yes, who's defining, who is benefiting from the works of the man. So it was hypocrisy and and what they call diplomatic maneuvering, how the racial heroes became part of the Jamaicans' panorama of heroes. Because Jamaica does not promote racial equality and racial harmony. If that was the case, the black people wouldn't be under the oppression for so long. So we have the heroes who fight for black people, and those are the ones the black people must begin to recognize. The other ones we must begin to view them with greater scrutiny and more skepticism. Because it's not about the class that you're in at the foundation of your identity. class identity can be changed according to what you acquire in your education or your pocket. So it's up and down and in and out with this classism. What is fundamental to our existence is the race that we are connected to, the physiological similarities that wind us together. And this is why now I want to speak about heritage versus culture. Because they have a celebrating culture. They have a celebrating culture of having people becoming experts at culture. Yet, heritage is hardly ever investigated or interrogated or reasoned about. Heritage. And there must be some difference between your heritage and your culture. So those who are consider themselves to be versatile and know these things, and they better can just say it right off the top of the head, you know. Yeah, what is heritage? And what is culture? What is the difference? Well, I just want to bring maybe a little clarity to the whole reasoning and perhaps encourage others who are within the same vein of thinking and questioning to let us make a greater effort now to even make the distinction between culture and heritage. So, what really is culture? We can begin by saying culture is something that has to be practiced. It's a practice. Heritage is based upon inheritance. What has been handed down. And it is a handed down thing now that creates the issues because there are traditions that are handed down too. But what is the heritage? So we have these three concepts. We have heritage, we have culture, and we have tradition. And as a person, and as an individual, and as people, it is helpful if we try to be able to be clear in our own thinking what really are the differences between these ideas. So I would just provide a little framework that could perhaps assist in our reasoning. And we overhear the word culture. You know, we hear it until we're tired. And everything a person doesn't talk about is just some culture. And the behavior arises, and the behavior has to be in place for quite a bit of time. I'm telling the item now, before we can begin to call it culture. A behavior can appear within 6-12 months, you start calling the behavior the people culture. Not go so really, you know. But it's just because we get overinflated with these languages, you know, especially when they come to North America and become the hip talk. So everybody talk about culture. But the definition and the clarity, and I'm just trying to provide some assistance to everybody who is interested in these things. And I'm saying that out of some of the research and reorganization of the information, culture could be just easily defined as that which we create, that which comes or becomes. In other words, now, to be even better, it's a reflection of your attitudes and your norms and your daily living. These are some of the things now that we attribute to culture. Your daily living, your attitudes, what you view as norm, and what we create. We're going to leave it for that, as a simple general definition for culture. When we talk about heritage now, it's about what we inherit. And it's the inheritance has a scientific foundation to it as well. Because you can inherit at the level of property. In other words, people inherit things because of maybe family associations and certain connections, so they inherit things. But that is not their heritage. That is an inheritance. The heritage now really more relates to your ancient practices. And when I say ancient practices now, it could really also connect to your genetic makeup. So in other words, now, heritage goes much deeper than the culture. And it is African heritage that the European can't capture, but he can tamper with African culture. he can mix up his culture with African culture, and he can create all sorts of hybrid cultures and throw us off our track. But you see the heritage? Once we begin to embrace what is African heritage, then we're going to leave him, We're going to get left, and we're able to move onto our own. And critically now within heritage is our genetic makeup, our DNA. And it's at this level of our makeup now that we carry with us now the memories of who we call our ancestors. Because these are ancestral forces. And these forces exist as memories. So the point I'm making is that as black people, as African people, we have to begin to put more focus and purpose on reclaiming African heritage. Because it's within the pursuit of heritage we will recover our genetic memory. And genetic memory now is another thing that we're going to speak about very briefly. But I want to encourage ones and ones to begin to pursue some searching out of some data within these disciplines. The concept of heritage and the whole idea now of genetic memory. How does genetic memory connect to our awakening today? What is the relationship between those ancestral memories and our present condition? And is there a place where those memories are stored as opposed to a place where the ancestors are stored? Examining metamorphosis.
Black population by telling them that charge a day. And they try to fool the black population by telling them that charge a day. High in I knows that China day, China day, China day, China day.
So the metamorphosis, once I want to examine these three basic ideas or definitions. Find them, because part of the tools of liberation is a dictionary. And you know, this is just a little sidetrack about dictionary, you know, about the author. I really want to spend a little time on one of these programs. I don't know if it's worth with this one or another one. But because I maintain that the dictionary is perhaps the most powerful set of information put together in one place within the whole Western plantocracy. The person who is responsible for creating those words, and well, who we hear is the author and the, we can't even call him the author, but the same way we can call King James the author of the Bible. Is a man named Webster. Is the author of one of the very popular dictionaries that we read, you know. But you know what the man's first name is? Him named Noah. Yeah, him named Noah Webster. So I just woke up and realized we get two Noahs to deal with. The first Noah come and restart the world. And the second one now come give you a book of definitions. So I just throw that out. Say it's just an observation I make very recently that is really Noah Webster, the virgin name, and is really Noah. It's his book we have to go into now to get meanings. Who this Noah is. When you go and find out. And where him get this power from to tell us what words mean and what words don't mean. That him now can tell us in his book that black means dirty and evil. And white is royal and you know, is Noah Webster. If you check out that Noah there. Because the first Noah done deceive already, you know. Them use Noah once on us, and Noah again is being used. But in the terms where we are now, three things definitions we want some clarity on. Culture, heritage, and tradition. What is it we celebrate, and which is the most foundational to our liberation? We always hear about defending our culture. We hear about Jamaican culture and the British culture, and all these groups seem to have a thing called culture, which, as I said earlier, in a nutshell, is a way of living. It's a way of life, and the way you walk and you talk, and the way you dress. All these things are a reflection of your culture. What's very important within the concept of culture is the idea of what is called norm. Because culture speaks to customs and language and values. And sometimes the customs now are determined by the dominant culture. So African people, black people may be within a society, but the culture that is dominant to them is not of an African orientation or African nature. So there's a cultural battle consistently, especially amongst the black people since we come into the West, because we've been under what you call cultural imperialism. It is suppression of black culture and the elevation of European culture that has created enough of the schisms that we face. So fighting for us identify ourselves at the level of culture then is not sufficient. We even have Europeans now born on the continent calling themselves Africans, and they can because of the geographical nature of the term African and the fact that it is really a national identity. But they cannot claim African heritage. Yeah, no matter how long them born there, them can't claim the heritage of being African. Them can't claim black heritage. So that's the way we go now to see if they may fall away. Everywhere we go, them fall away, you know. Everywhere we go for try to find a point of identification around which we can rally. The white man, the European, him is there to be a part of it. But I tell him, say, no, him can't be part of our heritage. Him can always join the culture. You see, Rastafari come with an indigenous, natural way and trying to find a connection to our heritage, and the white man coming in that him know is Rasta. And him writing books on Rasta. And him telling Rasta how Rasta must live now. Make him tell us about our heritage. Him can't come through that door. So we could claim it. And the powerful side of our heritage is our genetics. This is the part they use to try to tell us that we are inferior because they go to genetics now as a science. And this is where the European can't win. He has no chance of victory there because genetically the African, the black man is a superior being. Genetically. So it's through our heritage how we come to that knowledge. Culture don't show us that. It's through heritage. And so There is heritage and there's tradition. Tradition now is really like the handing down of beliefs and customs and legends. So you can get caught up in the tradition of an alien. Alien group can be giving you their beliefs, and they're giving you their legends, and you hold on to their customs. Much of these traditions are passed down through word of mouth. So when the African is enslaved on the plantation, one or two learn from the Bible, and him come or she come, no she, him come with the word of mouth talk, and him becomes a preacher. And him carry the message. Him carry the message of the word. So that is how the thing set up. And everybody gets caught up now in the culture of the aliens. And they have abandoned their heritage. And they have taken up alien traditions. So if we're going to go into Heritage Month and heroes and all of them kind of thing, you know, we need to do it in a more, from a broader perspective. And from a perspective that gives one a greater chance to come to consciousness. Because it's consciousness we need to liberate, you know. It's not spirit, it's consciousness. And we have to move consciousness beyond the level of just emotional and psychological and get to the level of the psychic and get to the level of the cosmic. Because once we begin to talk about cosmic consciousness, we're in a position where we can talk about organizing and centralizing and all of those beautiful phrases given by heroes who have gone already and who some of us here waiting for them to come again. It is time to really be awakened. Metamorphosis.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Titchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
Do you have or are you seeking a place to rent, seeking employment or have a job vacancy? Are you selling a car or having a garage sale? Then come see us. Let Styles do the advertising for you and you'll be on your way in no time. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Advertising Style. Advertise with Styles.
It's Wow Factor Tuesdays with Chungy and Shelly. Every Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's entertainment and interaction at its best. With features like the Share to Care segment, the Uprising 10 Countdown, and the ever-controversial Love Break. Yes, it's the Wow Factor. Your Tuesday mornings will never be the same again.
DIB Black Factory and Hardware Supplies Limited, your home for the widest selection of building materials and hardware supplies in Portland. Shop everything from plumbing to electrical to home decor. Find unbelievable prices on tiles, toilets, basins, faucets, shower enclosures, vanity sets, doors, windows, lumbers, and much more. Get up to 25% off at DIB Hardware the last Friday and Saturday of every month with their mega month-end sale. Visit any 3 locations in Portland, Buff Bay, St. Marcus Bay, and Port Antonio. Call 993-4415. DIB Hardware, your foundation starts with us.
Guess what? StylzFM has a new business number for you to call, text, and now WhatsApp. 518-2399. To advertise your business and events, call, text, or WhatsApp us on
518-2399. 518-2399.
Don't forget, 518-2399.
Jambo, vipi, karibuni katika kipindi cha Doc Iman Blak. Kipindi chaitwa Metamorphosis. Jifundishe, elimika na mwelimiki.
and shine, the haunting sounds of Jabi. He's recognized as the last of the whalers, the living whaler. Never been Livingstone O'Reilly. So when the body expires in time, is it that all of our messengers and prophets go to a land called land of the ancestors? But upon that again, you know, because I don't sure if this thing really exists in a dimension of reality. Is this a construction of the imagination of those who are finding it difficult to acknowledge that when the body dies, that? Where did we get this feeling that there is something to hold on to? Why are we trying to hang on? What is it we're hanging on to? When liberation comes from letting go. So we're hanging on to this thing called life. And yet at the same time, the tighter you squeeze it, the easier it is. It might just get out of your hands, squirt out of you. In other words, it is something to try to hold on to forever. Where we get this idea about eternal life and life forever? Is it a reality, or is it part of the early Sunday school education that has put into us between age 0 and 3? This living forever, this idea of eternal life. Where we get that from, and what value does that serve? And what part of your life remains eternal after your body decomposes and rotten and the bones disappear and 2,000 years pass? Are you saying that there is something that you left 2,000 years ago and it's somewhere hanging about the place waiting for what? Listen, man, make us come out of that zone. Make us come out of that zone and come into what is called reality. And we check reality by senses. The 6 senses that we have, we use those to check reality. And some of you might think it's 5, but I'm talking about the 6 physical senses. And each individual African child who comes together through egg and sperm formulates these 6 senses within. Yes, 6 senses. The ones that are not functional in the earlier stages is sight, because there are no eyes to see inside the womb. But there is the ability to hear, sound is working. There is feeling. So out of the 6 of them, we can say at least 3 or 4 working properly. And the most important one that we ignore is the function of the brain. Because our depend is seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, and tasting. Our depend is eyes, ears, nose, and tongue, and skin. But we're not recognizing from that early stage the power of the brain. And this is brain that will go through an evolution and come to a consciousness. And in that brain, early brain, as a fusion of egg and sperm, there are memories of both parents. Because each parent sends across cells, and within the egg and sperm cells, there are what we call the genes. We have to begin to get scientific to come to know ourselves. Otherwise, the idea about knowing where we come from and otherwise we don't know where we're going. If we don't know scientifically where we come from, either we don't know where we're coming from. It's not all spirit talk. We have to get scientific and recognize where we come from, that we can look. When the man them take off, go to the space station, on any mission in space, prayer don't carry them forward and bring them, It's not prayer, It's exact. It's if they miss, them dead, them blow up. It's precision. It's measurement. It's exercise. It's rehearsal. It's not faith. And it's not hope. Because faith and hope don't build civilizations. They maintain poverty. Because you lack action. So, we are told that we must save a part of our being that we are not even in touch with, because we don't even know if it even exists in reality. We are told to save our souls. And we even told that the soul is so important that it is more profit to save your soul than to save the world. And I'm saying we have to reverse that construct. Because what is it we're saving after the physical decompose? And who is this so-called judgment? It's back into the Christian talk. It's the Bible again, is the Bible hold the people them. So as much as we're becoming Afrocentric and becoming cultural, the Bible still captures the imagination. And the Bible did that from age 0 to 3. So whether you're 60 now or 70, and you're a doctor or a professor, or an architect or a physician, or anything you are, that's not saying nothing, because at the foundation of your knowledge, age 0 to 3, is a whole heap of nonsense stories. It's a whole heap of fallacies, whole heap of fears and doubts, whole heap of non-realities. So the struggle will remain as it is, because brightness and consciousness through education, not shifting up the foundation that makes us believe and not know. So the early belief system is that holding us on one spot, you know. And on that spot now we are being held into a concept of being inferior. And we're not using our energies to explore our biological and psychological makeup. So heritage is what we must emphasize. And heritage is connected to genetics. And a very important African black man psychologist who helps us to understand ourselves psychologically from age 0 to 3 is a Dr. Amos Wilson. And I want all those who have access to the YouTube and the internet thing to look up Dr. Amos Wilson, because we need to rally upon our intellectuals, our psychologists them. Preachers and churchmen can't help us, you know. They need psychological help themselves. We have to turn to our psychologists, African-oriented, our black psychologists. And Amos Wilson has written quite a bit on the black child. And I want to just quote him a bit. Amos Wilson says that the black child is not an equal, it's a colored version of a Caucasian or a white child. So I'm going to repeat it again. The black child is not a colored version of a white child. The black skin represents hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. And the very genes that we carry are more than just chemical in nature. I want to let them reflect on that now a little bit, you know. The black child is not a colored version of a Caucasian child. So the Caucasian child is not the model, and the black child is a version. We have to move away from that perspective. The black skin represents hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. The very genes we carry are more than chemical in nature. But these genes contain, and I quote, the whole evolutionary, political, social, biological, geographical, climactical history of black people. All is contained in our genetic structure. So I want them to just pause and reflect on that quotation from Dr. Amos Wilson about the genes that we carry. And we must begin to do more. Recognizing the Europeans are reach a point where they do all genetic splicing, genetic cloning. Them just try and make something different, you know. But the foundation of the old pool of genes is the black man. The Indians come out of the pool of African people, so did the Orientals. The European missed the boat, his pool of genes come from the animals. The European genetic pool rests amongst the primates. And him says so. It's not Iman Blak says so, it's him says so. He claims a descendant from Cro-Magnon and those type of beings. The African has no connection to that type of genesis. And the black child is the key to it. Because the black child is far more advanced than any other child in the first 3 months. We are flooded with hidden memories. And these memories are stored in our genetics. It's within our memory system. And there's a place in our body now where all of these memories are stored. And perhaps I'm suggesting that this is also where the ancestral forces dwell. Some place in the black body that can hold the forces of memory. The memory of our ancestors now, because that's what we're holding on to. It's not them. Them done gone and disintegrate. What is left is their works, their memories. And we hold those memories in a very important part of our body. We hold those memories. They are so vast, we have to hold them in the largest organ in the black body. You know that. Which is the largest body? In the largest organ in the body of the black man. That's the storage place for our ancestral memories. So just know that. Where in you can thousands of years of memory be stored? Which organ of your body? Just check the biggest one to begin with. Metamorphosis. Dr. Wilson goes on to say, the blackness in the body carries memory, history, and experience of black people. The past, the present, and the future. And then Dr. Wilson asks, what is the past? Where is the past? Can it exist outside the mind? Is it something left behind? Or is it not present in our genes? Yes, our genes capsulize forms of history and experience. Metamorphosis.
As you strive toward the accomplishment of your mission, as you seek to feed the sheep of the shepherd,
Yeah, again, more whalers, more whalers. Still exploring this whole notion of ancestors and where do the ancestors dwell? And why do we insist that there's a place that they go? Is it that we're hoping that there's somewhere that we will go when we are no longer here? And what is it that is going to go there? What kind of gathering? Is it any different from the Christians talking about hell and heaven, or limbo, or purgatory, and these imaginary spaces? Is Moses, is that biblical hero? Is Moses one of the African ancestors? Is he one of our ancestors? Is he amongst the ancestors? How do we define who becomes an ancestor and who is no longer, and who has sold out the race but is black and African, and do they join the land of ancestors, or is there a hell for the ancestors and a heaven for the ancestors? I think it's something that we have to be careful with now, because I don't sound much different from the thing that we're trying to run away from. So I am also have to wonder now, can a man can a China man become an ancestor within the African tradition? Yeah, within African heritage, can you be an ancestor and come from a different race? Or is it ancestral grounded in racial consciousness? Yeah, because I kind of can't take too much of the confusion after 2,000 years of the Roman Empire influencing everything we do. Every time we try to create something that is indigenous and liberating, it's imbued with everything that the Rome gave us from conception. So, may I say this thing that they say that we leave when we die, they give it very certain terms. But you see, if we examine how we come into the existence from inception, maybe it's easier to identify what is it we think we're leaving, what we bring. How we get here, so. For things say there's something to be left in a dimension that is not visible, in a dimension that is spiritual, as they call it. Yeah, man, I want to say now, they tell us about the soul. The two terms I give you, soul and spirit. Because when we talk about the mind and the self, we're not spending much time trying to have those things live forever. But it's the soul and the spirit talk. So what happens when you die? Does your mind perish as well? Does your self dead? All the way I talk about myself and myself. And you spend 60 years talking about myself. So when the person dead, warm to themselves dead with them. So we have these compartments that we have been given, and we call them aspects of our being. Black people must define amongst themselves which is the most important aspect of our being. Is it our consciousness that we exercise daily towards the upliftment of self and family? Or is it something else? What is it about the soul that is separate from your foot bottom? And if a man get piece of him hand chop off, does he lose a piece of his soul? Or is the soul only up in his head? And then he asks a man, where does he keep his mind and point to his head too? So the mind is in the head and the soul is in the head, and so is the spirit, and the bag of confusion. So the sorting out now begins, because if all those things are one, and that one is just a source of energy, then energy we know cannot die. Energy cannot be created either. Which means that it's a movement of energy. That transition period that we call in death is a movement of energy. Why is it we need to hold on now to identity? Why does there need to be a personality now that doesn't die? Because that's all that we've been trying to save, the personality. I'm going to give the item a metaphor. Just think of a cloud, a rain cloud. And the rain cloud turns into a cloud burst. And it Lego rain. The rain is really drops of water, And I'm saying in the item, each drop of water has its own identity. Yeah, each drop. Just like what we call a snowflake. Has its own shape, its own identity. And it makes a journey from the clouds, let us say, to the ocean. Well, the journey from the clouds to the ocean is what I would call life. And we experience things making that journey through time and space. But the raindrop ends up its journey in the ocean. Now, in the ocean, there is no way the identity of that drop can be maintained. The identity dissolves and it becomes one with the whole. It becomes another part of the ocean, another part of the great ocean of energy, from which that drop was just a blip. And through condensation and evaporation, there is movement again. There's a movement towards the clouds again, and there's another life. So there's a cycle. It's a cycle. So rather than view death as a complete ending, we recognize that energy has no real end. Likewise, it has no beginning. What is important then is what energy does with it, how does energy manifest itself while it is consciously and alive. And it is those activities now when the energy expire and transcend that those who are living now will begin to either appreciate, criticize, or condemn, but that's how you make your mark on the living. So I'm not so sure if we need to be glorifying this place where ancestors go and calling upon ancestors and making it something outside of ourselves. I am saying these forces exist within each individual. And these forces along the black cultural lines are stored in the skin of the black people. Everything we store in our skin, our genetic memories, our skin exists in the fetus before even the brain. So ancient evolutionary memories. And as Dr. Wilson would say, once you forget your history, you become robbed of your memory. Memory of your political skills, memory of your economic techniques, memory of everything. And so they can rewind you and start you up again by telling you about in the beginning. Metamorphosis.
Do you feel trapped behind your glasses? Ever considered what life would be like to wake up to crisp, clear vision? LASIK vision correction may be just the answer you're looking for. At Caribbean LASIK Vision Center, our team of certified doctors and counselors are available for LASIK evaluation. Call us at 630-0958 or visit www.lasiccaribbean.com. We are conveniently located at 34 Lady Musgrave Road, CLVC, where technology meets the eye.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
This feeling is taking over me. I'm so excited.
Feel the euphoria.
Tuesdays from 5 to 9 p.m. with the Master Mixer Musical Maestro Digital Team.
Giving a total satisfaction with melodies and memories by the score. With the widest selection of genres and hits. So you don't know that program you turn up, you know. So you know Patek's a full dance, the one you want to slap with.
Digital and we are party. Yeah, we flawless. Euphoria the program. Every Tuesday.
5 to 9. Every Tuesday.
With the Musical Maestro Digital Team.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Titchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
What are you doing
your mission, yo. As you seek to feed the sheep of the shepherd. Whoa, yeah. You'll be found worthy to enter in the vineyard, yo, yeah. But there is too much pollution in the land. Said I need some atmospheric vibration. Too much confusion where I go. The whole world is suffering from illusions. But redemption stands within the scheme of things. The Redeemer's called the King of Kings. Purifies the soul from unclean things. Know your place within the scheme of things. Wise ones will hear and will increase their learning. From the words of the wise and their bright sayings, how long ye simple ones will ye love simplicity? You better rise and awake from your slumbering mentality. For the wind of desperation, I know it will increase crime waves and demonstrations. But the rock of discretion, it will come with floods of conflict and conviction. So what are you doing?
Yeah, what we doing in the scheme of
The
things?
scheme of
What are we doing? What are you doing in the scheme of things? You know, every time that a person dies, as I said earlier, the living becomes very acutely aware of their own mortality. And the whole imagery of your time, sometimes perhaps I think is in everybody's mind. So there is an issue about how do we dispose of the carcass. When the body expires, how do we dispose of it? And because we have been brought into this Western plantation and under the Christendom, most of us get caught under the Christendom rituals. And Christendom is all about making money, you know. Never ever forget about finances when we talk about Christendom. You have to have the money to get into Christianity. You have to have the money to give to the collection. You have to have the money. It's a money thing. Broke pocket people can't go into Christianity. And when they go into Christianity as poor, they remain. That's when they become broke pocket. And they stay poor. So how do you dispose of the flesh when it's decomposed and ready to can't stay there longer? Well, the Christian Bible tells people now through the same mythological story and the same fable of Adam and Eve and Adam. Them tell us now that we come out of dirt. Yeah, don't I remember the story about dirt was used to create this being called Adam. So the old, again, Sunday school, pre-basic school teaching tell us about biology and genetics early. They don't tell you about genetics along the line of science. Them tell us that something was created out of the dirt. All right. And then the partner for that dirt being came out of the bone. So dirt and bone is the foundation now of these two beings. And I, as a black man, as an African, as an intelligent, conscious being now, I have to just suppress all of my knowledge and accept that as a truth. Because that's the only way it was put across to us. It was forced. So them tell you in a nutshell, so we come from dirt. And then now them go around and tell yourself, when you're dead now, them have a little thing, them recite, and them say ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So they must suggest and I tell you now, say, we come from dirt, we must go back into the dirt. No, what kind of Mickey Mouse roundabout kind of argument this? Eh? In the very first place, no black man don't come from no dirt. We all come out of egg and sperm. We all come from a liquid environment. So any myth that takes us from the liquid and put us into dirt and bone is a conspiring myth to keep us boggled down. You know? When you talk about can't get up, it's a heavy tie down that, you know. When you tie yourself down, both so you come out of dirt. And when you beat and rub your skin, you talk about so the dirt come off. It's the dead cells come off. It's dead cells. Why you don't keep on rubbing? You think pure dirt will come off? So we have to wake up to our scientific construction. We don't make from the dirt. So the first story about man from dirt is just what it is. It's a fable for the Hebrews and the Jews. But black African people, Oriental people, Indian people, Chinese people, don't run with them thought there. Run into it. So when it comes time to dispose of the body now in those cultures, then you have to go through the long money-making ritual where Christendom carry you through. It's like you can't bury somebody unless you have money. And this long drawn-out ritual of days upon yamming and eating and drinking and belching and selling, how does that relate to the consciousness that does expire as an individual? What does it have to do with the expiration of a body? Where everybody now come hustle. It's like vulture. Everybody fly down upon the dead and pick up a piece of the body and hustle off of it. So that cannot be, as far as I'm concerned, a ritual that I and I should be practicing. And the other end now, the other religious group, the Muslims, it's like within 24 hours, them bury for them dead. No long lay. No bag of money. Nobody put on no thing for the longest time because it can't bury because the money don't make. And people have to fly in to come look on the body and a whole heap of things go on in the Christendom world. The man who are seamen, for them ritual is to bury a sea. So this whole idea now of this one creator God who tell everybody through one book what to do. How come we might tell them what to do, don't fit everybody? You know, it can't fit everybody. It's a cultural writing. So cremation is a root. And as I tell my youth them, you know, I'm going in the box and a worm come near my flesh, you know. And me a ball out and nobody can hear me. You know them joke there, you know. Me take the ashes. Yeah, because the heat is what we know. And the body don't carcass already, so there's no me I feel nothing. Me not putting my emotions in a carcass to imagine that I'm feeling this when the carcass is dead. So how you dispose of the body is a cultural practice. And we have to check now the nature of our heritage to see how it fits into how we put away our expired people. What do we chant? How long do we take? Do we sing songs? Who do we sing songs to? Who, you know, what is the ritual all about? Is it still praising God and hoping that a place is put on in heaven for the soul that is coming and all that type of thing? If we don't have a soul, more than our foot bottom, what is it that we are saving? I am saying to the them, what we should be focused on saving is not our foot bottom, but our children. We should be working on saving our posterity. Yeah, protecting what we call the afterlife. Because when your life is over, there is life after, you know. The afterlife is just those who are continue living. That's what afterlife is. Because if you're dead, everything goes on after. So afterlife will focus on those who are alive. So you have to keep preparing for the generations to come. We miss that point. We get cut off because we think about a future that has a manna and a heaven, and we don't even prepare because tomorrow will prepare for itself. That is not practical. If we want to get into a condition where we are beyond slave minds, we have to free ourselves from the thoughts that were given to us as slaves. And this whole idea of coming from the dust and going back to the dust is another illusion. It's another money-making scam. And it frightens people. The reality is that what is composed will decompose. And all of us have a certain amount of breaths. Whether it's 1 million breaths or 2 millions, but a time come when you have 1 or 2 more breath leave. And when you're down to 1 and you take the last one, you're done. You're done. Just make sure that living was fun and you were conscious, because it's no, at that point in time, the eye will be judged by the living. By the living. And your generations that you have left will either benefit or feel the wrath of that judgment. So we're staying practical in this metamorphosis. Metamorphosis going into Alkebulan, our story. When you hear the sounds of Maragini, the song is called Historian. It's a consistent reminder in the metamorphosis of our story that has its genesis beyond Eve and Adam, beyond Abraham, beyond Moses. And when we talk about heroes, black heroes, African heroes, we have to go through the door of ancient Egypt as one of the entrance points to identify the heroes that are ignored within the history of black people. But to say, before we even speak of the, we mention one man, we mention some names. And as we go through this month, we shall get into them with more details. I want to mention, first of all, Imhotep. I-M-H-O-T-E-P. Imhotep or Imhotep. This is one of the heroes of black man life and history and time that should be taught in the basic schools. The basic schools in Jamaica should teach the children about Imhotep. But before the child reach basic school, him get the Sunday school education. We're teaching about Moses. So to him now, Moses is a greater hero because him never even hear about Imhotep. So I will bring some data on Imhotep and I encourage in ones and ones. So check out Imhotep. Everybody can go Google now. We don't use dictionary anymore. Like the dictionary has been replaced by Google. Watch what you're Googling and don't become a Google. But the name is Imhotep. Imhotep. I-M-H-O-T-E-P. And there's also a Jamaican who is not recognized in Jamaica as usual, but is highly recognized in the United States and the rest of the intellectual world. His name is Joel A. Rogers. J.A. Rogers. And this man, we should have a statue of J.A. Rogers in a hero's circle. And perhaps I need to be constructed our own park with our own heroes. And when we say our meaning, those that the majority black people at a certain level identify as those who come to ease the oppression on the race. So J.A. Rogers, Joel A. Rogers, coming out of Westmoreland, is a writer and a historian. And Rogers has written some of the most powerful and potent books, I tell you I them, to uncover our story and even the history of Imhotep. It is J.A. Rogers in his great book called The World's Great Men of Color. This should be in everybody's house. But instead of a Bible and the world's great men of color speak of people who existed long before the Christian era. Our heroes and heroines before the Christian era. But the impression is that we only start get era when the European them capture us. And then we start have era. And the heroes them now are either Islamic or heroes are white men. But if we were to unmask the white mask that they put on us and see the blackness and begin to see the heroes that we really know, all the Bible heroes would wash away. They would become fictitious and the book would become a book of fiction. There would be no reality attached to none of those men. Samson, David, Solomon, all of those characters would become just fictional, like Clark Kent and Superman and Batman in that old literature. The real heroes of black people, we find them before the Christian era. I want to give thanks to J.A. Rogers, World's Great Men of Color. In that book now we can read about the life and times of Imhotep. We can read about the life and times of Aesop. As a little boy, I used to hear about Aesop fables, but I never knew Aesop was a black man. I thought, of course, all wisdom come from white people, and all wise information came from white writers. Aesop was an Ethiopian. J.A. Rogers also exposes us to Hatshepsut, the most ancient queen that is recognized as a powerful leader. These are our heroes and heroines. When we used to go to Babylon Sunday School, if they were teaching us this in the Roman Sunday School, none of us were so fool today. None of us were so foolish. But when you learn about these characters after you believe in Moses and Jesus and Samson, it makes no difference. You don't get the washing of the brain already. And the brain is washed easiest between ages 0 and 3. And you reflect on your own life and don't realize it's between 0 and 3 you get bombarded with all of the Bible stories. All of the Sunday school education. It's between age 0 and 4. And it is now reinforced by church and it's reinforced in your home by your mother in particular. She insists that you go to church and she insists that you believe in Jesus Christ and she insists that you hold up God as the head and you put God in front of you and she drill this in you because the Caucasian planter class insisted that God be our controller. And if you attack the woman in any structure, the children will fall and the man will fall too. And the plantation owners attack the female and discombobulate the African family system and interject this ghost that haunts black people today. This spirit thing that is now a haunting element in our life. We can dismiss that spirit and that dopey and those ghosts. We just have to reclaim. So we're going to revisit J.A. Rogers. I'm going to ask my brother in Ambokile to make a statue of J.A. Rogers. Just like we want a statue of Nani. We want a statue of Imhotep. It already exists in Imhotep. It's kept in the museum in Cairo. And who was Imhotep? All right. Check him out.
Economic liberation is a duty I owe to posterity. Great Zimbabwe stands, ancient rocks solid firm. Come now, Draco go down. Great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls. When they saw Zimbabwe walls, they said it was the foundation. They said it was the Syrian. They said it was the Chinese. When they saw Zimbabwe walls, they said it came from the Iberian. We know it is 100% African. Naga naga na Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls. So who your Vasco de Gama be? So who Prince Henry the Navigator be? So who was yours? So Walter Raleigh. So who was Amerigo Vespucci? Some kind of Johnny come lately, talking about them make some kind of discovery. Iman is the living anthropology. Iman is the living archaeology. Yaga yaga yo, Zimbabwe wall, great Zimbabwe wall, Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls. When they built up the Aswan Dam, it was the Western archaeologists' plan to flood with historical Sudanese land, afraid of the glory of the.
So the glory of the black man through architecture and monuments were not just in ancient Egypt, also in great Zimbabwe. When the Caucasian go there and see the monuments, them call them ruins and say that they were built by aliens from out of space. Every time the Caucasoid, the European, buck up our technology, them say it come from out of space because they can't believe that those powers are coming out of the black mind. Again, we're elevating J.A. Rogers has opened the door to deep research and reconfiguring the data to present it to I&I, that we can realize that we are great, we're not only great in the past, we are great in the present, but it is a memory now that we're suffering from, traumatic memory loss, that's holding us into a certain place. It is Rogers that has brought even the consciousness of Imhotep to the front. Rogers, J.A. Rogers, he was born in 1880. The same period of Marcus Garvey in the 1880s. Early 1890s, His Majesty come. So there is an uprising in the black population for our own saviors. Yes, the race was at such a level of, breakdown that the mothers and nature and the forces had to bring forth children out of the womb of the black mother that would become points of remedy, points of salvation. So Garvey came in 1887, but J.A. Rogers came in 1880. And Rogers went to the United States, just like Garvey. Rogers was a historian and an author and a journalist. Lived in Chicago, lived in New York City. And some of the books that this man create and produce is what should be in everybody's house. I just mentioned the one that I caught on to first, which is the world's great men of color. These are all of the great black personalities before the Christian era. Before any Jesus make and born or was invented, these are the black heroes and heroines that were known to the world. He also produced a book called From Superman to Man. The title alone is amazing. It's also suggesting in the title that the African was the Superman, but now he has been reduced to man. Yeah, the concept of the gods. He also has a book called Sex and Race. Fundamental elements of identity. We're talking about J.A. Rogers. Rogers gave up the ghost in March 1966. So is he amongst the place where the ancestors gone, since it's a place where them go? Did he get entrance into it because of his great work? Or did Rogers do his time and pass on and leave behind the memories of his works that allow us to use it to carry ourselves forward? Isn't that what we call immortal life? So immortality now, which is what some of us claim to be searching for, it exists, but I don't think it exists in trying to conceptualize part of your personality just out there in some dimension in a land where our personalities gathered to talk about 2,000 years ago. No. It's about the transition of energy. And the energy is transformed into memories. And so we keep the memories of the person's actions in our consciousness, and the person stays alive in the mind of the living. That is it with Marley. So it is with Garvey. So it is with all our ancestors who contribute to the liberation process. Those who don't contribute simply fade away. And if you are at the extreme where you create more destruction and havoc, you're still going to be remembered. So, we could revisit memory. Yeah, the whole issue of memory is not just an idea of holding on to a thought for a moment. It's a whole faculty. And within that faculty, now, there are energies and there are forces. Because the cells, all energy comes from the cells, and memory is stored by the cells. Every cell stores memory. So if we can get our memory bank working and can begin to tap into our own memories, we shall awaken ourselves. We'll awaken our genetic potential. So Imhotep, that J.A. Rogers spoke about, is considered to be the world's first multi-genius. No, this is a man worthy of being a hero. Imhotep, I-M-H-O-T-E-P, considered to be a multi-genius. And the time of his life was considered to be in the time of the Pharaoh, Djoser, D-J-O-S-E-R, the 27th century, before the Christian era. What was it? 27 centuries, 2,700 years before any Jesus invent and any Adam make and any Abraham and the first Hebrew and Jew do even make it. We have our great Imhotep. And Imhotep is considered to be the father of medicine. That title was hijacked by the Greeks, and them claim that Hippocrates is that title, but we know the foundation. And that's why we give thanks now to a man like J.A. Rogers. So Imhotep again, an architect, a surgeon, a poet, a father, a doctor. And we here today talking about man can only do one thing and him can't do nothing else. How do we move from a multidimensional being to a one-dimensional being? That's what's been happening to us as a people. We check even athletics and sports in the 60s. All our athletes were multi-dimensional, playing several sports and studying as a norm. Today, the youths are one-dimensional. Him can just run. And there's only one race him can run. Him can only run the 100, and it's done. We have to return to our heroes. Imhotep, the multi-genius. The women must know about Hatshepsut, the great Egyptian queen, and know why you are a queen and not a skettle. Know why you're empress and you're not a girl. Metamorphosis.
Planning a party, club night out, stage show, a gospel concert, or even a business sales event? Let StylzFM be a part of your promoting tool. Take advantage of our low-price promotion packages with commercials, interviews, giveaways, reviews, and much more. We have special offers when you mix and match and bundle your options. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. StylzFM for the most effective way to exploit your marketing dollar.
For complete auto repairs and services, come to Akon Auto Technology, located at 33 Bumble Crescent, Port Antonio, Jamaica. We offer specialist services in wheel alignment and wheel balancing, brake drum and disc rotary servicing, state-of-the-art ultrasonic cleaning and testing of your fuel injectors. We also stock an assorted range of auto service parts, tires, and motorcraft batteries. If we don't have it, we will source it for you. Call us at 876-715-5205 or email akonautotech16@gmail.com. Akon Auto Technology, beyond the typical auto mechanic shop.
Guess what? StylzFM has a new business number for you to call, text, and now WhatsApp. 518-2399. To advertise your business and events, call, text, or WhatsApp us on
518-2399. 518-2399.
Don't forget, 518-2399.
Remember StylzFM on social media. View us on YouTube, StylzFM Radio. Follow us on Instagram at StylzFM. Like us on Twitter at StylzFM961. Become a fan on Facebook, StylzFM 96.1.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Titchfield Hill. They offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
Africa dafa baxna ki dafa ñaan ki dafa rafet won man ci ki bonjul ki dafa bonjul won ñande ke saway ki dafa bonjul won man ci ki bonjul ki dafa bonjul dafnen rafet yo wen tamé da ingama get dafnen rafet yo wen tamé da ingara dafnen rafet yo wen tamé da ingara did you know that's a richer Africa did you know that's a richer Africa did you know said the whole world love it, did you know? Said the whole world love it. Be proud of your culture. Be proud of that what you got. Be proud, you got to hold on to it. Be proud of your culture. Walking down the road in Germany, reggae music playing, and this is what one man was saying. Was ist denn das? Was ich da höre? Ich kann nicht anders, muss einfach tanzen. Bist du der Reggae, manchmal macht man ein bisschen lauter. Niemals in meinem Leben habe ich so etwas gehört. Meine Damen und Herren und alle Brüder und Schwestern, ich muss euch jetzt verlassen, weil ich fliege nach Jamaika. Tschüss, bis bald, ich komme irgendwann wieder. Es macht mich was, es gibt mir Kraft und Energie wie ein Tiger. Es macht mich was, es gibt mir Kraft und Energie wie ein Tiger. Did you know? That's a richer Germany, did you know? That's a richer Germany, did you know? Said the whole world love it, did you know? Said the whole world love it. Be proud of your culture. Be proud of that what you got. Be proud, you got to hold on to it. Be proud of your
There's a certain
culture.
amount of pride that is required within the concept of race. Yet the Christian doctrine tell you about pride coming before a fall. So I find it very conflicting. How you want to develop racial pride at the same time telling you not to be too proud because pride come before a fall. You know, so you just like you're going forward and you're going backwards at the same time. But such is the confliction and the teaching out of that book of contradictions. And again, we're just speaking about heroes and heroines because this is the month of October in Jamaica and we go into this culture heritage thing and observe the people. Usually at the end of it, nothing changes. People remain just as dormant and stagnant that next year this time come around, the same things. So I always wonder what is it that is holding the machinery in one space while the wheels keep turning. You know, like you're running on the spot. And I eventually have concluded that it is what they have inserted into us as an education, not at tertiary level, not at secondary level, not at the primary school level, not at the basic school level either, but at what they call Sunday school. It's a Sunday school curriculum that have all of it idiot as black people, as much as we have the degrees on top of the Sunday school education. So can only purge ourselves by revisiting that Sunday school education and deleting all of the rubbish. Deleting all of the fables that we take as reality. Deleting the nursery rhymes that we take for reality. And insert in those spaces now things that are knowledgeable and things that are valuable, information that is worthwhile, information that lifts your self-esteem. Because there seems to be, we need to find a way to exercise the ghost of low self-esteem. Low self-esteem killing black people. And how do we raise the self-esteem? It's by becoming more aware of our own history, culture, and heritage. So we speak about our heritage and the greatness that we achieve through our genetic potential. And we see that the potential for being genius rests in our genes. And the examples are great. So we're talking about Imhotep, the first Christ. Yes, 2,700 years before them invent the Jesus. The first Christ in ancient Egyptian color was Imhotep. And Christ means the anointed one, the wise one. It wasn't about a son of an almighty coming out of the sky. Because the Indians have their concept of the Christ. They call it Krishna. So that's something that is a monopoly that the Hebrews and the Jews developed later, thousands of years later. When we know where we are coming from, brethren, it's difficult to confuse us in the present. So we see the genius. We see the fact that Imhotep told us that eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we shall die. Him says so, you know. Yeah, man, I know the Bible quotation that, you know. It's like one of our first heroes said that. And we're just trying to balance it up with the heroines. And realize that there is Hatshepsut. 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 And again, Google. Everybody can Google now or go to the dictionary, go to the encyclopedia and see who this great queen was. Who was her relatives? Who was her brother? What role did she play? And the beautiful images. Hatshepsut was the daughter of a king. And that king was King Thutmose the first. Hatshepsut became the queen of Egypt when she married Thutmose the second. So, what we're seeing now, even from this example, is that we have females who are involved in government and royalty. We're not talking about today is 2018 where women are struggle for equality. And the European image of the female is what is dominant, that she's a slave coming out of the rib of a man and all of that rubbish. We're talking about a culture and a heritage of royalty, where the female is in the supremacy of positions. The female allow Africans to speak about black supremacy. Because once the female is put in the position of supremacy, the children follow. And anyway, the female, the man, the back are. So the system will function. And so where there is glory and when the worship is within the family, then we talk about upgrading, we talk about civilization, we talk about development. So Hatshepsut is an important queen to know about. And the amount of power that she held, and her titles, and the fact that she was a pharaoh. The Europeans have given us the idea that the pharaoh means somebody you must fear. The pharaoh. But the pharaoh is just another English word for God King. Yeah, God King. So the female could be a God King. No, goddess talk. I want to know English language breakdown. These are the people that I should be holding up as heroes and heroines. Imhotep within the context of anciency. Hatshepsut within the context of anciency. J.A. Rogers as a man who has done the work to bring these people to us. And I want to speak a little bit about Nzinga. Queen Nzinga. More contemporary. Coming out of the closer struggle with the Europeans. Queen Anna Nzinga. We're talking about 1583 to 1663. Those are times of her life. So she lived during the Columbus, during the 1500s after Columbus come and gone and the slave trade is heavy. She now is defending her kingdom. 17th century. And she fight fearlessly. And she developed the kingdom, which is what we call Uganda. Your statues there. She's brilliant in her military tactics. I am saying no. Know that she is no longer here. Is she also in the land of the ancestors that we can call upon her? Or can we only call upon her exploits through memory with the hope to duplicate or with the will to replicate what our heroes have done before? So if our heroes are about liberation, we should be about replicating liberation. Yeah, so heritage, culture, tradition, heroes, sheroes, black identity, urgent in identifying ourselves. Metamorphosis. Believe in things that you don't understand. You suffer. That's the words of the great Stevie Wonder. And it applies to the great black population, believing with all of them, what them call them heart. And in this deep belief, there is great suffering. Because you're believing in things that you don't understand. So the foundation of our first education, which is Sunday school, is about believing. That school teaches you all about belief. You don't leave Sunday school with anything that is scientific, that is grounded in knowledge. It's a belief school you go to. So what happens in those beliefs now? Within those beliefs, we get tied up and confused with what is real and what is not real. How do we make the distinction and separate reality from fantasy? You know, you can link me at 4531444 if you think you can assist in that process. Or if you're overseas, the number is 954-338-7972. 954-338-7972 if you're outside of Jamaica. And if you're on the land, it's 876-453-1444. So we're talking about this place here now. That when people... Three what? Eh? Alright, ready up again. Just a correction on that number for overseas. It's 954-338-7973. 954-338-7973. And of course, locally, it's 876-4531-444. So it come into the bump now about this thing that we have us believing in, and we don't overstand it. This heaven and hell now, that is a final resting place for this thing that we must value more than the world. Where do our heroes go? Do our heroes go to heaven? The same heroes who are fighting against oppression? Or do they go to hell? Where do our heroes go since we hold on to this idea of something going on after life? Where Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, Marcus Garvey, Sam Sharp, Taki, Nat Turner, Harriet Tubman, where are these ancestors, as we call them? Is it a place where that group gather? And the one them who sell way out and go on with them Uncle Tom behavior, there's a special place for the Uncle Tom ancestors. I am saying no, we must revisit this whole notion, because maybe we're exerting energies that are just like prayers. They bring no result. It's 2,000 years black people praying, and the prayers are supposed to go up. Up meaning off the planet. That means up they're crowded, full of prayers. Who is paying attention to these prayers? Who's looking at our messages? Them is a whole heap of message pile up there. They must have a whole heap of secretary and people reading these notes. All them messages cannot be answered. So when we're sending out these prayers now, and we're talking about heaven and hell and these places, are these not exist just in the imagination? And if you want to parallel them with practical conditions, do they not represent hardship and poor health and poor medicine and lack of the basic resources? Wasn't that what we're going to call hell then on earth? Because there's no other place to experience hell. And what if there is no hell? Then there's no need for our salvation. Then the Jesus goes out the window and the whole Christianity falls on its face. So we talk about believing in things and having faith and hope. And when we must hold the knowledge of our ancestors who have done great works and resurrect their memories and reproduce their works, we don't do that. We depend on prayer. And so the prayer goes out and it goes up into the sky and it mixes with the atmosphere. And when rain comes, we say blessings, and then we drown out through the rain. And then when the flood comes, we say it's blessing, and the flood wash away. We are confused. When nature becomes angry and destroys us, we say it's the works of God. And yet, the opposition of God never does any harm. I want somebody to call me and tell me, name one act or event that the devil is responsible for, or Satan, Name one destructive behavior or action in the history of the Bible world where is the devil cause it. I don't know of any. I'm been searching, and every time I come up on destruction, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, the destruction of the Tower of Babel, the wiping out of the people, the killing of the slaughter of that is always the works of the God. So I'm not sure if black people should be gearing them energy to the place which are in control. The thing that call heaven. Maybe we're better off zeroing in on what we call earth. The heaven that is Africa. The homeland of all great creations. Where our DNA tells us that we are the gods. And where the Greeks remind us that when they come amongst us, they came in the land of the gods. What more do we need to know? Metamorphosis.
Imagine there's no heaven. See as if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions.
Don't let the reverend turn you fool, people. Don't let him use you as a tool. Don't let the reverend turn you fool, people. Don't let him use you as a tool. Foreign God is in Vatican and him send him here to rape the land and him come to we like a simpleton, holding the Bible in his hand. Why don't you tell the people the truth, Reverend? Why don't you tell the people the truth, Reverend? Why don't you tell the people the truth, Reverend? Get rid of evil from the root. Tell them your God is in Vatican and him send you here to rape the land and him come to we like a simpleton, holding the Bible in your hand.
Your God is in Vatican, and Him send you here to rape the land, and you come to we like a simpleton, holding your Bible in your hand. Why don't you tell the people the truth? Tell them the truth. Why don't you tell the people the truth? Tell them the truth. Why don't you tell the people the truth?
That's the voice of Max Romeo asking the Reverend to tell the people the truth. But if the Reverend tell the people the truth, the whole plantation pull up. Everything pull up. Because the truth would mean revealing the lies and the falsehood. And it begins by telling people that, you have to admit to the people now that the book that was given, that is the word of God, it is really the word of some white men. Yes, what they call the word of God, you know. The ancients, word of God was the writings of Thoth. Thoth. Thoth is a God of writing. That is a God of writing, and He produced the words of the gods. What them give us as the word of God now is the word of some European men who sit down and conspire to capture the imagination of an entire race of people. Because before you capture the physical body, you know, or while the physical body is under capture, you know, you have to work on the imagination. Because the physical body alone under captivity always have to deal with resistance and revolution, because the body by itself has a brain. And the brain is a thinking process. And the brain is always thinking of a way to free up the body. So you don't want the body to become free. You want the body to remain in that condition, so you have to capture the brain. And what a part of the brain you capture is the imagination. So if you capture the imagination, then you also tie up the people them will. And you tie up their desires within the imagination. So black people now have to begin to decipher and to what we call dissect and reassemble those forces within their imagination, then willpower, and then desire. The willpower, the preacher tells us, is controlled by their father. It's the preacher's job that to make sure that the will of the people is under the whip of this Lord God. That is the job of the preacher. Because your will must be controlled by this Almighty. And the whole concept of a free will now doesn't really exist, because it's Almighty not only control your will, the Almighty define your destiny. This is how far the preacher goes in explaining to the people that they have no willpower and that they are being driven by only desires, and the desires are all fleshical and carnal. So it's a whole trap set up to keep the people enslaved to their own desires, to material desires, not able to exercise the will to say, I am, to say, I will, to say, I must, or to even say, I can. It's about liberating the I and the will. But under the preacher and the religious education of Sunday school, the will, it becomes a slave to the Father God and becomes a servant to the Son God, S-O-N. So you must surrender now your will to the Son of God and follow. And so the sheep mentality now is created. They abandon the will, the same will we use to build the pyramids and develop mathematics and science, the same imagination we use to create the chemistry and create a calendar. All of that now lock up in Humpty Dumpty and Once Upon a Time and Three Little Birds and all of this type of foolishness. So I am concluding now that the greatest damage done to black people is not in the public school, nor the private school, nor the basic school. The damage has been done in the Sunday school formation. Age 0 to 3, when the child can learn any foreign language, can swim, where the brain can do nearly everything. We are total captive. So once you leave that formation and go to basic school and primary school and learn maths and geography and English, it don't make no difference. We become good servants. We become excellent workers. But we never have the willpower to create and design our own levels of industry. We're locked into enslavement, into service, become servants. And we think it's an honor to be the servant of the Lord. And it's an honor to be a servant of God. But what is the difference between a servant and a slave? Is there a difference? Is one more glorified than the other? Is there any difference between a servant and a slave? Metamorphosis.
Brother, what's up? This is a big party, man. Yeah, I can dig it. Stop right on.
Mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Yeah, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer. For only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Hailing of Rostris, New York City holding it in the building. Hail of Vivine, Erie Castle out in St. Thomas. Yes, good night today. It is a good night. DJ 4. Yes, Motivation. Down in St. Mary there, hail up people of Galena. Hail up SCXY. Yes, and all the ones and ones across the island who are participating in the listening, we say greetings and give thanks for your ability to find the time to lock into the metamorphosis and to free up your own mind. Hail those who are in the states of Trump, who are watching the proceedings to define whether this aggressive white male who has a history of being drunk and a sexual predator, will this character end up on the Supreme Court of the US of R. Yeah, interesting times to watch how London Bridge falling and the states becoming disunited. So we look at what's going on, and we're healing all the ones and ones living in those places, Canada and the United States. Heal ones and ones way across the continent, their mother continent in Africa. The various lands of Ghana and Mozambique and Kenya. And we hail up all those who are listening to the program live on Facebook, whether you're at my Doc Iman Blak page, or whether you're at Metamorphosis page, or whether you're at Doc Iman. Yes, we say greetings and give thanks for the technology to allow us to link in these kind of specific ways. And of course, right here at home in Port Antonio, hail up all those in Port Antonio proper, whether you're in up on the hills there, or in Norwich Heights, or in Titchfield Hill, or all of the hills and the valleys of Portland. I notice I always hail the people on the coastline. I want to hail the people up in the valley, Seaman Valley and the valley of Portland and Rio Grande Place. All them kind of hills there, and St. Thomas. The man that in the hills. And the women and those and ones in the hills who are listening to StylzFM, we say hail. So we're dealing with events of the current times, what we call what's happening now. And at a glance, we pay attention to the buffoonery happening in the United States. And there's an event at the World United Nations building where the leaders of the world gathered recently. And all eyes, of course, were on the DJ. And this is the first time any leader of the United States, any president, has gone to speak to the United Nations and get the whole United Nations to laugh. This is history. This has never happened before. Where a president can get the entire assembly to laugh. It means that he's a tremendous comic. And then in his interpretation, his perception of the whole event was that the people were laughing with him. He was such a a personable character, that what he said made the people laugh with him. He could not visualize the people laughing at him. Because America now is really at another level of lowness. The last time America sank to this level was when George Bush had a shoe thrown after his head in Iraq. I'm off a duck. That was the level where the world viewed America with disgust. Now it's with humor and almost, nonchalant. So who are you? So them just laughing after Trump. And the man doesn't understand that America now is being pulled into what him call greatness. And in that greatness, America is moving away from being a superpower. Because America was a superpower through the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It is Trump now who's putting America in decline. America is moving from being a superpower to a great country. China is moving from a great country to a superpower. India is moving from a great country to a superpower. And the Russians are re-establishing themselves as a superpower. So America is sliding down the podium, the totem pole. And it is a natural slide. It is a part of the decline of empires that rise and fall. It just had too much black people trying to hold on to the empire while it fall. What you have to realize is that this leadership in the empire of America, by default, is uniting all other groups. That is not the mission of Donald Trump. Trump is making America great again. Trump is making white people in America become more coordinated amongst themselves. But the rest of the world, in their response, they too are organizing. Look at the Koreas. 6 months ago, the two Koreas were at each other's neck. Now the Koreas are in tight embrace. Give thanks to Donald Trump. There is a sexual predator campaign going on in America now, where all of those men of power, whether in politics or in entertainment, they are now being drawn across the coals for their sexual predatory behavior. And it is Trump who has inspired that, because he has defined himself as a front grabber. And he has no apologies. So, by default, the Muslims have united in and against Donald Trump and his policies. The women have united, the Koreans. It is only the black people that are still holding on to the pants foot of the American empire. Anytime black people wake up and let it go too, we know it's the London Bridge and the brave shall fall. So the power to hold up America in the final days. We're the rest of the black people. We're the only ones who still trying to call ourselves as blacks Americans. The white man in America has made it known that American is a WASP. America means a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. The black people went to America as slaves and as migrants, are not natives to the land. And when we wake up to that and begin to claim nativity to Africa, then just like Rome, in his last days, Nero sat in his empire, in his palace and was playing on the fiddle. America in his last days are watching Trump play golf while America falls. Metamorphosis.
Me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Wasted on the oceans and upon our seas, fish full of mercury.
It's a very interesting dynamics playing out in America now as they expose all these sexual predators. Only one has gone to jail. This one just happened to be accidentally black. By accident, this one happens to be black. This happens to be one of the band them who threatened to buy a piece of the white industry called entertainment. And without trying to provide any rationale for the behavior, we're looking at the consequences. And we look at Harvey Weinstein and all of these other white guys who are still out and free. And we see what has happened to the Cosby. Without sympathizing with his actions, we examine it along the lines of race and see that justice in America represents white privilege. They are equivalent. We look at the experience with Serena Williams on the tennis court, and we see that she mustn't wear her black cat suit. It's too intimidating. So, black people are the last group that are going to wake up to the fact that these hyphenations that we have as our identities, we have to drop them and hold on to the root. And the root to our identification is African, and the deeper root is blackness. So, we can pay attention to what's going on in that bigger space called the US of A. Because the Chinaman is on the rise, the Indians and the other groups that we call racial groups. It's only the black group that not seeing itself as a unified group. When we look into our region now, the Caribbean region, we are from the 1950s. We're trying to come together as a region. And if the white people could do it after 100 years of war in Europe, what is the difficulty with a few islands coming together? And they say the division is great. And the division is great from the days of the colonial times. We haven't gotten around the colonial divisions of class within the Caribbean yet. And so within that class structure, there is discrimination against the very black people who oftentimes lack the resources to get the education and the various money to move into the so-called class structure. So we're killing ourselves with this classism in the Caribbean. And the region is difficult to come together because a region needs symbols. We need symbols to unite around. So there's no anthem and there's no flag. And we have sports as a unifying culture, but we are so competitive that we don't know how to put it together and hold Caribbean games. We don't know how to hold regional games that attract the rest of the world to come and spend their money here. We could have an international track Olympics just in the Caribbean alone. We could do things as a region, but we're lacking that cohesiveness because of the division of the colonial days and the division by the church. Anglicans versus Protestants versus of God versus that, and we are so divided. But we emphasize the division. We're going to focus on the one thing that we share in common. And it's not slavery. It's our blackness and our heritage and our genetic pool, which connects us now to our true story and not to his story. Again, I want to hear of all those who are on the roads tonight. The taxi drivers right out of Port Antonio here. Want them bring her here quite often and safely. Hear all the drivers on the road, whether it's in Anata Bay or Port Antonio or Marant Bay. Wherever bay you are, whichever city or town. We say give thanks for that you are out there allowing the people to get about their business. Yeah, hear all night workers, security guards, all the police services, people are out there trying to ensure that when the sun rises again, things are basically the same. Yeah. So, bus drivers, man, them who fly between Marant Bay and Port Antonio, hear up all the man them, Bigger and Grabber and Carl and, all whose name I don't call. We say give thanks to you and your doctors them. Make the roads a place that is relatively safe. And of course, the other end, of course, Port Antonio down to Not to Bay, and Not to Bay into town, and the whole road works. I hit up my brethren. I hit up Claude down in Ocherios. Come link the eye next strong. And, you know, man visiting and full joy in Jamaica. We have to. It is the land of our birth. But the way them treat us on, like them rather will leave and send in the remittance. But you see, all I know out there, just agree to come in en masse. Just come in by the thousands. And overwhelm the government, that the government just have a runway. Yeah, too much people, new demand, discipline, experience, runway all the inept caretakers here. And transform Jamaica. We have more people outside who have better ideas of governance than those who are here. And come on, come in and get enumerated and establish a new movement that we can move away from these two P's and get a movement that is grounded in the blackness of the population. You know, out of many there are one, and out of one there are many. And the one is a 95% African people. That is the one. Out of one, now we have many people benefiting. Many other racial groups, and they are in the minority. So we say, we are claim, and we take control of our heritage first. And then we're going to claim the land. And then we're going to claim our identity, and then our power. Because we need economics now. We need to have our own printer. We can print our own money. Why not? The resources are there. We have the hemp. The whole Africa, imagine if all African countries began to produce hemp, we wouldn't need Europe. Europe would go bankrupt. If every African country, every African, Caribbean and Pacific state, ACP state, was to develop hemp, everything done. Everything done, the poverty done. A white man will return to Europe and eat themselves again with them cannibalism. Some say, Portland and St. Thomas, Microfarmer Hemp Association. The St. Thomas and Portland Hemp Farmers Association, a hemp movement. It's all about economics and blackness. We want a hemp movement in Kenya. We want a hemp movement in Ghana. We want a hemp movement around the globe that put economics now in the hands of black people. We don't need tourism as a front page. We need to break away from being servants and the philosophy of servitude and remove our big mentality and assume leadership and ownership, industry. Yeah, Metamorph is saying all these things in the month of October.
What's coming now? What a beautiful goal for offside! Elway! The way that Maradona has been able to do. And he's hurting England again here. This is a brilliant run. It's one of the world's great goals. Set.
They get away first time. Tyson Gay right alongside Usain Bolt, but here he goes, streaking away already. It's Bolt all the way. He's looking round at Gay. Watch the clock. It's goal for Bolt. And again, he's done it again.
Yes, Bolt again. He has done it on the track. No, he's trying to do it on the football field. Our great Usain Bolt had his first match as a trial in Australia with a team called the Mariners. I saw some clippings of the first match. And obviously, Broach is a runner. And it's concentrating maybe too much on trying to move fast more than to move in timing. Because football running is not about speed only. It's about the timing. Arriving at the same point in time as a ball being served. It's not about running as fast as you can. So the very first game, people woke up to the fact that the man lacked basic technical skills that you learn at 5, 6, and 7. But he has a desire, he has a will, and he has an imagination. And he's exercising these forces, trying to transform himself into a football player. So they're giving him another few more months, because to be a striker, which is really sometimes the highest paid player in a team, how are you going to learn to be a striker at age 31? And you never played striker when you were a youth. So these are the great walls that face our sprint legend. And it is good that he's making these attempts, but there must be a realistic point. And as a former footballer and a coach and a man who overstands the game to a point, I know that habits run the world. And the habits of a footballer, you develop them over time. Not just habits, the good habits. And it takes time to free yourself of the bad habits of a footballer. So we're going to watch how this bold experiment works out. And whether the club can keep him as a marketing tool to pull the goods receipts in. There's a coach who suggested that both train to be a wing back. Because playing in front of the goal is the most difficult position. Playing with your back to the goal is difficult. It takes years of preparation to learn how to turn and to do the thing that a striker must do. One coach said he should play a fullback where he's on the outside of the field and he can see everything in front of him and can therefore maybe go forward with speed and overlapping. He must can deliver the ball perfectly. So it's not an easy task, and Iman thinks it's worth observing. But the end result is that maybe in a year's time, Bolt will turn out for the reggae boys. Who to tell? Who to tell? Can he make the reggae boys in another year with experience at high club level? We don't know. But as we talk about the football, we know that the Premier League is started and the new club, Montego Mount Pleasant, they had a good start last week. I don't know if they win the match tonight. They play against Montego Bay United in their second match. But they have set a new template for football in Jamaica, which of course is driven by tremendous sums of pounds, whole heap of money with a proper vision and infrastructure. Maybe in 5 years, the Mount Pleasant team will be having some young players playing in the Bundesliga or in the Serie A, because that is really the ultimate, to get these players in a position where they can be sold. Sold, yes, professional contracts, and they go on to try to upgrade their lives and their families. And of course, in our small area here in Portland, the DaCosta Cup is on, and it would appear that Port Antonio is going to be the representative of this region. There's a battle on between all of the lesser teams. And out of the lesser teams, Fair Prospect, Happy Grove, Anata Bay, Titchfield, and one team is already eliminated. So it's always difficult for any team from this group to represent the nation as a champion, because already these teams are losing 2 and 3 games to each other. And so it's almost impossible for anybody from this group to get to the highest levels of the DaCosta Cup. So this region does need some serious scrutiny, school level, club level, infrastructure, leadership, the whole thing. As to why is it this region is so backward, yet so pleasant in its nature and naturality. All right, so we're now saying more about the sports. We're going to go through. We gotta say one more thing. This debate about school and sports and whether we should separate them or keep them together, and all the politicians and the ministers, everybody getting involved, and the educators. Look, it's very simple. The world is not the same as it was in 1950s. Sports in 1950 was a site for recreation. In 2018, sport is a global industry. So when a youth enters high school with a vision to enter the global industry of sport, it's a different direction than trying to get into the marketplace with academic subjects to get a job. And the reality is that sports is a global industry. So why should we deny opportunity for our individuals to become a part of that industry? Because they can get 8 subjects that makes a child unemployed and borrowing student loans to go to a university to get the same money that the person who has gone into the global industry can get. It's hypocritical, it's double standard, and it's classist. And this is part of the reason why the region is backwards. Say no more. Until another time.
Evil on my left, I'll stand up Cuban flag.
This is the sound of Ayaso coming out of New York City. Baba Blue and Company.